Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, a slew of new AI bills come with some party line tensions. And the Pentagon's CDAO adds a new leadership position. It's Thursday, August 1st, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Here are today's top headlines. Amid concerns about U.S. competitiveness in artificial intelligence, the Senate Commerce, Science, and Technology Committee on Wednesday advanced a bevy of AI-focused bipartisan bills. However, some fault lines emerged that could signal growing tension between the parties on the issue. Senator Maria Cantwell, who chairs the committee, opened the session by setting the global stakes for AI development, noting that in the U.S., the technology may increase annual GDP growth by $1.2 trillion to $3.8 trillion per decade, or even more. But China and other countries are investing hundreds of billions of dollars and taking actions to gain economic and national security advantage from AI. As the U.S. private sector leads the way on the technology, Cantwell added, Congress should build good, strong public-private partnership collaboration to drive innovation even further. And as policymakers, she said, they must make sure that emerging technologies work as intended and reliable in order to scale up deployment. The package of bills taken up by Cantwell's committee included several endorsed by OpenAI and others now backed by Google. 9 AI bills were ultimately advanced on Wednesday. During the hearing, Senator Ted Cruz of Texas broadly condemned several of the bills, arguing that the legislation would end up over-regulating the American AI industry. He accused companies of using, quote, absurd exaggeration to push for legislation that would favor them but would result in stifling innovation in the U.S. and enabling other countries, namely China, to take the lead on the technology. Cruz also introduced an amendment to eliminate President Joe Biden's executive order on artificial intelligence that was ultimately voted down, though the senator emphasized that the intent to do so is part of the platform for Republicans and presidential candidate Donald Trump. In other news, the Pentagon's Chief Digital and AI Office has added a new role focused on management and business operations. Pentagon leadership recently selected longtime strategic planner and military workforce expert Julie Cruz to serve as the Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office's new Director of Business Operations, making her the first official to take on that job title for the organization. A CDAO spokesperson told Defense Scoop that the Director of Business Operations is a maturation of the previous resource management position and that the transition is part of a broader effort inside CDAO to institutionalize good governance processes. In June, Cruz was promoted to the Senior Executive Service and chosen as the CDAO's new Business Operations Chief. In this position, the spokesperson said she is the Senior Administrative Officer, consistent with the function and other principal staff assistants in the Office of the Secretary of Defense, and the primary functions of her role are to oversee HR, internal contracting and resourcing, and key mission support functions such as space planning, IT, and records management. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.